for tuning into another episode of Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Jason Luntz. Now, this week we are very pleased to have a special guest with us. To recognize the upcoming Veterans Day, we decided to bring in a career Army veteran that has done many things in both the Army and in the private sector. Today I'm sitting with Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army retired, Arnett H. Bodenhamer. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today.
Well, thanks for having me here.
That's great. That's great. Now, as an Army veteran, first I want to just start off by asking you, what does Veterans Day actually mean to you?
Well, it shouldn't mean that much to me. It should mean that much to the American citizen. The veterans, and especially black veterans, they paid a price. They fought for their country. They went into foreign countries. They were in cities throughout the United States of America. And there was injustice shown to these folks. And even returning home, there was a lot of thankfulness shown towards them. Not just then, but today. Folks don't recognize veterans. There are two important days that we should pay respect to. One is Memorial Day.
Yes.
Because those folks paid the price for our freedom.
Yes.
And the other one is Veterans Day, who continue to serve in some capacity, and the active duty people who protects our freedom so that we can go about doing things that we enjoy doing. Going to church.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the veterans, I'm not sure what we would do religiously. If it wasn't for veterans, I'm not sure what we would do education-wise. Veterans play an important part, and they're not recognized. They're not heroes, in my opinion. I'm not a hero. I should be recognized and respected.
Yes.
Not just me, but all veterans. All veterans don't shoot rifles. They're cooks. They're logistical people. They're administrative people. They're financial people. But they're veterans, and they support the military in some way.
Wow.
And I just think that they should be recognized and respected. Not with sympathy. They don't need that.
No.
They just need to be recognized and respected. I get more recognition from folks who come up and say, thank you for your service.
That's great. That's great. Now, that's great, and we agree with you. That's why we definitely wanted to take this time to really talk about Veterans Day and speak to somebody that's had a great career such as yourself. Now, you spent time in both the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's right.
Okay. Now, this is a question I've been wondering. Are you considered a veteran even if you didn't serve in actual wartime?
Of course. Now, let me tell you, it takes more administrative people to support a combat soldier than most people realize. Because the administrative folks, they got to look out, and logistical, they got to look out for his food and clothing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look out for his pay. You got to take care of his financial obligations back home if he has dependents. So it probably takes about 12 administrative people or more to support one combat soldier.
Wow. Wow. And that goes back to your point. That's why, regardless of what your role is, if you're in the military, you're a veteran and you deserve the same.
Of course. Everybody doesn't shoot at somebody.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
I shot at a few people. I don't know if I hit anybody or not. But most of my time, as I rose up in rank, I did the various things, and there was a difference. I think I have on that paper that I have the Air Medal.
Yes.
It takes 450 hours in an aircraft of some kind to get an Air Medal. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of hours.
450 hours.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of flying in Vietnam on my 2 tours over there.
Wow. Wow. Well, let me go over some of your decorations that you have. The Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, 2 oak leaf clusters, the Air Medal Army Commendation Medal, 3 oak clusters, and the Good Conduct Medal with 6 loops. And what exactly is the Good Conduct Medal?
Well, that's for being a good kid.
He was a good kid.
Yeah, and I think you get one for every 3 years, maybe 4 years, and I'm missing one, I think. So each of those accounts for, I believe, 3 years.
3 years?
So that would be 18 years of good conduct.
Oh, that's right. All right, that works out pretty good. I just want to show, here's the good kid we're speaking about. It's a great picture. And what year would this be? Do you think this is when you first joined?
No, that was in 1954 at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Fort Jackson, South Carolina, 1954. This is history right here. And you actually joined in 1951.
That's correct.
And you retired in 1973.
That's correct.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Now, I have a lot of things I want to show everybody. I'm so excited. Now, the Sergeant Major actually bought a great book. It's called 100 Sergeant Majors of Color. This is a great historical document right here. I know I plan on picking up a copy. He's actually featured in this book amongst a lot of men that served their country that were African American. Now, in this book, it says that you had a lot to do with race relations during your time at Fort Hood, Texas.
That's correct. And I was a command sergeant major, and I was pulled out of my battalion. I was a battalion command sergeant major. I was pulled out of the battalion and put at the corps level to serve a 3-star general whose name was George Seneff. He was Lieutenant General Seneff. He pulled me out, and he had to get special permission from the Department of the Army for me to serve outside of being in a command type position, because this was an administrative thing. And at Fort Hood, we had some 60, 70,000 troops, probably about 18 to 20,000 black, and some 120 total dependents. So Fort Hood was a huge base. So 120,000, I wanted to say. And we had a terrible race problem. And the stand down from Vietnam, it brought about a lot of racial tension, mainly because blacks coming back who were in aviation were put in tank units, and they felt they were only doing it because of their race and color. By the same token, there were a lot of things that were not available to African American soldiers and blacks, as I like to say, at Fort Hood. For example, the commissary didn't carry a lot of items that were used by minorities. You know, there are a lot of items like menudo. I didn't know what it was. It was this Mexican thing, and I think it's beef that we call probably tripe thing. And the black women were totally neglected, even from the color of the hosiery that they had. None of the hosiery in the exchange was dark enough or brown enough for a black woman to wear. They had no hair products in the post-exchange. They had very little cosmetics in the exchange. I did something somewhere out, if it's necessary, I'll bring it and show you. I had them to put chitlins in the commissary, and it was a difficult thing for the commissary officer, who told me that they wasn't healthy and they wasn't approved by the USDA and all that stuff. So I went to the local store downtown and brought him a pack, put on his desk, and left. And I went back to the general and told him, and he called him and told him, put them in, and whatever Bodenhamer tells you to do, that's what you need to do. So that ended all of that. But the point is after about 2.5, 3 months, they must have sold 10 tons of chitlins. And I always tell the story. There were only, I don't know, somewhere about 16,000, 18,000 black troops. 8,000 to 10,000 of them had no ways to prepare or cook chitlins and didn't like them. So there was only about 6,000 left. So who ate all of those chitlins? It wasn't us. No, it was more folks than us who enjoyed
it was others.
Yeah.
Wow, that worked out.
Yeah, but anyway, I worked on race relations at Fort Hood, and we did a little bit with it. You know, music is a big thing. Mm-hmm. You know, we were separated by a soul club and a country and western club, and you know, you knew not to go to those clubs where that your type music was being played. So
right.
we kind of straightened that out by changing the dates or the days that the various music could be played. So
Wow.
Friday and Saturday you were Soul Club, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday you were the Country Western Club. So you knew where to go when you were going to hear your type music.
Wow. So when you're dealing with race relations, these kind of things that now we take for granted are small are really what makes a difference. It's about everyone being able to basically live their lives. You need food that you're used to. You need toiletries and products that you want, and entertainment. So these are the kind of things that can help make everybody feel at home.
Sure. Well, we could always skate. We had a small skating rink, and I had told the special service officer that they needed to build a new skating rink so that everybody could go skate. And he didn't do it, and what happened is blacks took over the skating rink. And
That's funny.
we had more space, more room. I'm trying to think of a word that, I'm almost 80 years old, but I can't go back now and bring up some words that used to be in my vocabulary. I just can't remember. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that we need to do, not just back in the 70s, but in the 80s, even now. To me, there's still some racial problems. I mean, we can look at housing, we can look at developments that's going up in Nashville, we can look at the Gulch and see what's going on down there. I mean, there's so many things. Yeah,
yes.
So many things that's going on that has somewhat of a racial tone to it, and it's just they just do it a little bit different than we did. The terminology has changed. I for one don't like diversity. It's a term that's used to me to kind of set up and really have things for other people. When you talk about diversity, what are you talking about? You talking about white women? Talking about Muslims? Talking about Hispanics? And keep going. So this pie is only so big.
So it's so many subcultures.
Right. But they're all inclusive, and we look at them. So where does it leave the African American? It doesn't leave it much of the pie.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I do want to switch gears a little bit and talk about once you retired from the Army and you came to back to Nashville, excuse me, I forgot to mention you're a Nashville native.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about what were your experiences in Nashville in the 70s and 80s after the Army up to now, and even the history that you and your family have in the city?
Well, I could see some changes in Nashville, and especially with developments coming in and food chains or restaurants where that when I left and went in the Army, I mean, we could never go to Jimmy Kelly's unless we were a waiter. And I used to tease folks that back in Nashville in my day, if you had a white coat on, you could get in any place you'd like.
Because you were working?
Yes. Now, I had lunch at the Armitage Hotel last Thursday and the Capitol Grill. And my brother was one of the head waiters there, and I was a busboy and a kind of a cleanup man over there. And here I am now sitting down, eating in there. Tells me how progressive we've come, where now I don't have to go in the back door, and now I don't have to have on a white coat to sit in here. And I couldn't sit, I could only come in here. And I had to be at work or doing something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Nashville has changed. I served on the planning commission for 4 years, so I got to see a lot of things. I got to see Bellevue develop, and it wasn't segregated. A lot of black folks moved into Bellevue, and I've seen a lot of folks now that Franklin and Brentwood are developing what's happening at the Governor's Club and what's happening. I have some friends that live in those areas. So there's been some changes. Has it been enough? I'm not sure that there's been enough. Where we really reach out to be inclusive in things that's taking place in the city and in the state, and we've got to do a better job. I mean, we've got to provide more places that are integrated, where that folks go freely. I mean, golf courses are now pretty much, public courses, pretty much integrated. I'm not sure about some of the private clubs. There may be a few private golf courses, and I like to play golf, and I've never played at any, well, I played at one of the major golf courses at Hillwood. I haven't played at any of the others, but I think in the day we'll get there. I mean, we my brother lived, who was the 9th black policeman. He lived to see a black man as the chief of police of this city. And there was an article in one of the newspapers where that he just said he couldn't believe it, with tears in his eyes, that he just couldn't believe that Emmett Turner was going to be the chief of police.
Wow.
And then we've had a number of assistant chiefs, black. So it's changing from that standpoint. Education, I'm not sure that we really are doing a lot about education as far as integrated. We still have some of the high schools, because of the location and because of the neighborhoods that are predominantly one race. The magnet schools, you can see what they are. So whatever we need to do, and I'm not an educator. I went to Pearl High School, and I didn't finish. I got a GED, and I got my certificate from Pearl as a graduate. So I've seen a lot of things, but I can see things in education, even with my son. I've got one son who's 40 years old now, attended McGavick and TSU, and he has a master's degree. He's a head basketball coach at a brand new high school in Rutherford County. It's called Stewart's Creek. So yeah, there's been changes, but there's still areas and things that need to change. And I'll tell you this one tidbit story, and folks, there's not many around that remembers. My brother coached football for the police department. Most of his kids were out of public housing, and they won the championship, and he was he was recognized as the coach of the year. And they were supposed to go to Alabama to play a team down there. So my brother called to coordinate with the guy to find out if everything was set. He told him, yep, we all ready, we waiting for you, but I got to tell you, if you got one nigga on that team, don't come.
What?
Well, I'm telling you, there's a few people still around that remembers that.
What?
And it was such a disappointment to the kids that the city put on a big show, a big banquet, and a lot of things for him. But he was also told, he said, yeah, Bo, you're the coach of the year, but we're the coach. That's enough story.
Now, no, these stories are great. I know our viewers appreciate them. Now, how do you feel about, because here on Take 10, I interview a lot of the people I interview are actually business people, predominantly have been African American. So, how do you feel about how African Americans are doing in Nashville as far as the private sector?
Well, I'm not really sure, because my business experience, as I told you, was with the military exchange system worldwide. So I did very well in that system. There have been some success with black businessmen in the city on what they've done, and I think Daryl Freeman is one that I know that has moved up with Zycron.
Zycron, yes.
On what he's done. Sam Howard has done well. He had 92Q, and he sold that, and he's got Phoenix, I believe is the name of his corporation. And Sam has done well, and there are some others, and the kid at Woodcuts right up the street is doing well.
Yes, Woodcuts.
and Glanton, who opened up the law firm down here on Jefferson in the building, I'm sure that he's got some office space down there for sale or for lease. Things have changed somewhat, not enough that as far as I'm concerned. I can give you another story.
Yes, please.
I was on the planning commission, as I tell you, for the city. And Mayor Bredesen asked me if I would represent him the opening of the Kroger store on Clarksville Highway and the Kroger store on Monroe. And I went to both stores. Both stores started out with the same stock assortment. The shelves were the same. If you go to the one on Clarksville Highway, the shelves are still basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the one on Monroe, and the stock assortment has changed because of the demographics of Germantown and the clients that you have. So
yeah, gentrification does
make
that.
sense?
Yeah. That does make a difference. That makes a difference.
Of course it does. Look, Nashville is home for me. I got to mention my friend David Sweat Sr., who's doing well with his business.
Sweat,
been there for years, and
they're doing. His sons actually opened up their own place in Antioch.
Okay.
It's a really good restaurant too. Yeah, that's why I like
that's David and Patrick. That's Burger 360.
Yes, yep, 360,
yeah. And the food is delicious.
Oh man, yes, it really is. You know, that's another thing I want to ask you, since you were part of the planning board here and you know a lot about where Nashville's going. Is there a reason that so many African Americans seem to have migrated to the Antioch area?
I wished I knew, because some folks, and especially the realtors, kind of get a bad name for Antioch based on where it's located and what the demographics are.
Yeah, it has a bad name, but it still looks beautiful to me.
I've lived in what I call Priest Lake area, which is Antioch. Antioch is 013 and we're 17 zip code. So I can say one or two things that I think, and I don't have any facts, is that a lot of Section 8 folks moved to Antioch after they tore down some of the public housing, so they had to go somewhere. A number of folks in my area who have completed their mortgage and now rent their homes, and they're Section 8 rented homes. So
it's a lot more rentals.
Reason. Yeah, but now the other one is Antioch's a nice area. I mean, they've built a lot of things out there. I have no idea why Hickory Hollow didn't succeed. Other than folks that, at different things. But I'm not a shopper. I'm a buyer. If I want a sweater, I go get a sweater. I don't want nothing else. If I want a blue shirt, don't show me a green one.
Yes.
But I don't know, and I think Antioch will come back. I know that the council people out there are doing all they can, and I know Ben Freeland with Freeland Chevrolet bought a lot of land out there, and he's trying to do a lot of development with it.
Yes.
So I think sooner or later, with the growth, there's got to be a lot of money out there. So whatever the reason for folks,
I think it really has to do with. I thought the same thing, that like East Nashville and South 12th, as those areas change, the people do have to go somewhere. But I don't think it's significant enough for people to act like, because people act like Antioch is like the ghetto now, and to me, it still looks amazing to me. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel that it's the ghetto, whatever the ghetto is. I just think it's a place where folks of color, of minorities, there are a lot of Hispanics.
There's a lot of those.
Out in the area. There are a lot of whites out there. So I don't know what the problem is, and folks think that something is bad, or that the water is terrible in Antioch. Not true. The lake is nice, and
the lake is beautiful,
and everything. So
the lake is beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I have to show this before I let you go, folks. This is him, and at that time, Senator Barack Obama. This is a nice picture. What was the story behind this photo?
He was here. he came here. Bob Took, who was the chairman of the Democratic Party,
yes,
brought him here, and we met at the Lowe's Anatole, and got the picture with him. And when he came back, when he was running for president, I had him autograph it for him, if you could see there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, and if you look at the picture, I was talking to him. I was telling him, I said, "We're going to get you elected, but you got to do the right thing." Those were basically my words. Yeah. And when he came here, and I saw him at Vice President Gore's quarters, we were there, and he remembered me, and he told me to give him the picture. That's not the original. I got the original somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that he was going to do the right thing.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's great. That's great. Well, we're still supporting the president.
Yeah.
Here, well, that's great. That's great. Wow, Sergeant Major. I have to admit, this has been one of the best conversations I've had on this program. I learned a lot. That was exciting. So we talked about the past, and now we talked about the present, and finally in Nashville. What do you recommend do you have any recommendations that what we can do now to make sure that we do have a place at the table as this city grows and the national spotlight grows?
Well, I'll bring up one thing. I'm the chairman of a small group called the Buffalo Pack. And if you go back in history about the Buffalo Pack, they secured the Western Front and all of that, the Buffalo Soldier, basically. We meet with the mayor about every 2 to 3 months, and we talk about education, we talk about development, what have you. My thing to him all the time is that we've got to move north of Broad Street. Everything takes place south of Broad. So when I say that, I'm trying to get the mayor to see and understand, and I think they're trying to do a little bit about it, with building the ballpark, the old Sufferdale, and thinking that will bring businesses and what have you in. But we've got to do something about North Nashville. I'm not really sure what North Nashville is anymore, because if you look at the Planning Commission, they call all of this West Nashville and what have you. And I think the new division of separating the parts of Nashville is the Cumberland River. But North Nashville, to me, was the hub of black everything when I grew up. Jefferson Street, Meharry, Centennial Boulevard, as we now call it, John Merritt. That was the hub, and folks loved all that. Folks from South Nashville who lived out 12th, what have you, in East Nashville, a few people that lived, black folks that lived in East Nashville, everybody came to North Nashville. So if we can just get a push on to do some things. I don't know how much the new ball field will how much business that will bring, but we've got to do some development in North Nashville, and folks. And I got to say this: I-40 did divide North Nashville and really, just kind of screwed it up, and in a better term, there is a better term, but it kind of screwed it up. Two things that happened to me. I-40 broke up North Nashville as we knew it, or as I knew it as a kid, and the other one was development. The folks that lived in North Nashville, on Meharry and Alameda and Jefferson and all of that, they moved to the Gold Coast. They moved to Haynes Manor. They moved to Enchanted Hills. So they moved out of North Nashville, and the exact same thing is happening in Antioch as we see it, where folks are taking over the property and making it Section 8. That's what's happened on Meharry. Go and look and see who lives on Meharry now. So we can fault I-40, and we should, but we should also think about what happened after I-40 or during I-40 was the development of Bartow area. Because when I was a kid, I was a grown man before I ever went across the Bartow Bridge.
Oh, wow.
Because it was all white out there.
Wow.
So you look at it now, and I think if you could go back and look at some of the deeds and the titles of some of that property and read what it says, you'd be surprised.
Wow. Wow, that was great. You know, I think we definitely have to have you back to have some more discussions about Nashville, its past and its future. And I just want to thank you for your service to this country.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for your service to this city of Nashville as well. And I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And once again, you have been tuning into Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. See you next time.